CBS Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Well, here's the matchup this afternoon. The Texans have won 7 of the last 8 against the Titans and 4 straight. And look what they've done. They've dominated 32 points to 12 to the Tennessee Titans. They've also dominated in total yards. Now, personnel is a little different. The quarterbacks in particular are a little different in today's ball game.
Tom, every game is different. And just like the Texans are going to hope that last week doesn't bleed into this game, they understand that Tennessee is a extremely tough football team. They're a physical football team. And defensively, they don't give up a lot of points.
Well, the Titans won the toss. They deferred, so that means Tennessee will kick off to begin today's game. First of 2 matchups between these two. Irvin is to your left. He's been under scrutiny this past week. Alfred Blue is back as well. Irvin with 7 kickoff returns, averaging just over 20 yards per return here in 2016. Marcus Mariota has never faced the Texans. Brock Osweiler was in Denver last year, so here we go. The first meeting of 2 in 2016 is underway from Houston. And the ball out of the end zone. So that means the Texans will begin 1st and 10 from their 25. Brock Osweiler said that he needs to be better after his last performance against the New England Patriots. But they had a good week of practice, they felt, with him at the helm.
Well, the entire offense has to be better. They have to run the ball better. They have to do a better job getting open downfield. Brock Osweiler is an aggressive quarterback. You look at his first 2 games, really wants to push the ball downfield. That's something they couldn't get going last week against the Patriots. I'm sure they're going to try and test the Titans secondary.
And with Bill O'Brien now calling the plays, he wants the tempo to be a little more up-tempo this week against Tennessee. On first down, Osweiler off the play fake. And he throws to the middle of the field, and it's complete to Lamar Miller, who has so many touches each game. It's a gain of 5. So let's look at the Texans' offense. We'll begin with their offensive line. And obviously, Chris Clark is a point of interest because Dwayne Brown is normally in that spot, but he is still banged up. Lamar Miller has had so many more touches this year with the Texans compared to last year with the Dolphins. And Miller right now is spread to the far side of the field as a receiver on 2nd down and 5. Osweiler out of the shotgun, quick toss. It's complete to the rookie Fuller. And Fuller, so much speed after the catch up to the 44. Rashad Johnson with the tackle. Let's take a look at the Titans defense. Obviously under scrutiny. Jarrell Casey's one of the best defensive linemen that we will find in the NFL. Derek Morgan trying to come back after a shoulder injury last year. And Parrish Cox, well, he was spotlighted a lot last week in the loss to the Raiders. A gain of 14. Miller to run for the first time. And he bounces inside, and he's up to the 49-yard line. Jarrell Casey with the tackle. Adam, a lot of activity for Lamar Miller right out of the chutes.
Well, one thing that they looked back last week was the fact that New England played their safeties deep. And they said they're going to stop the run with a 6-man front. And Bill O'Brien said if defenses are going to give us that look, if they want to take away Fuller and Hopkins down the field, we've got to be able to run that ball effectively.
2nd down at 5, and here's Osweiler pointing out the Mike linebacker. Miller off the play fake. Osweiler to throw as Miller out of the backfield. And he's down inside Titans territory. All right, so talk to me about how big a deal it is that Bill O'Brien is now calling the plays. He doesn't think it's a big deal. Do we make too much of it?
Well, you know, I think it's important. I think he looked last week in New England again, took away Hopkins and took away Fuller, and he didn't think that they were creative enough. They were very predictable in where Hopkins lined up, and he wants to make sure that he can get his star involved more in the offense.
On first down from the 40-yard line. Well, they're moving the football, and Titans show blitz. They may have gotten across the line of scrimmage. It doesn't matter, though. And a gain to the 34-yard line. Again, it's Lamar Miller. It's a gain of 6. They're averaging over 5 yards per play. in this first drive.
Well, you notice they're not huddling, and they really felt that in this week in preparation for the Titans, just to get Brock in a better rhythm, to get more involved in the offense, to get a little bit more energy, that using tempo throughout this game and at times going in that no huddle was going to be good to get them going.
Well, Osweiler so far 3 for 3, 30 yards on this first drive. In motion is the fullback Prosch off the play fake. Osweiler has time, looking downfield to the end zone, and it's incomplete. Looking for Fuller. And it's 3rd down and 4.
Well, there are those chunk plays. And when we talked to Bill O'Brien about how do you score points on one of the best red zone defenses in the National Football League, he said when we get in that fringe area, we have to try and get chunks, because the closer we get to the goal line, the harder it is to try and attack their coverage. So that's why you're seeing Brock Osweiler at the 35-yard line trying to attack downfield.
44% on the year in converting 3rd downs, facing a 3rd down and 4. Pressure's coming from the outside. Pass is complete to Fuller. Parrish Cox in on the coverage. It'll be a 1st down for the Texans.
Good job converting. Will Fuller, who is known for going downfield with that great 4.3 speed, but on 3rd and short, nice little hitch route. Osweiler gets hit just as he throws the ball, but a very good sign for a team that really had a hard time converting on 3rd downs a week ago.
Osweiler went down. He's a big guy, 6'8", 235 pounds. His 5th year out of Arizona State. On 1st down, the handoff goes to Lamar Miller. Cut back inside the 20. Well, Bill O'Brien said 2 of the reasons why he decided to call the plays, because as a head coach, you got to be a decision maker, and you also, as this ball goes to Lamar Miller inside the 15-yard line.
Great patience right there to kind of sift through it and find the hole. He talked about the need to be more decisive, but again, there, no need to make that quick decision, and finds the cutback for a big gain.
Shows direction and decisiveness. Osweiler to the end zone, and Fedorowicz goes high in the air. Did he come down with it? Touchdown, Texans! Avery Williamson was in on the coverage, and the Texans fire out of the chute with a 14-yard pass play.
Well, great job using his eyes, looking to his left, moving the free safety, buying just the right amount of time, and what a grab from Fedorowicz, who has been their blocking tight end for most of his career. But boy, you got to be extremely happy at that drive, converting on 3rd down, running the ball well with Lamar Miller, and then Osweiler putting it right on his big tight end.
Well, it looks like he is inbounds and certainly had control for his 3rd career touchdown. The point after is good, and the Texans take a 7-0 lead. 4 plays of 10 yards or more on the drive, and the Texans take the early lead. They find the tight end to the back of the end zone. Pretty nice opening drive. 9 plays, 75 yards, 4 minutes and 29 seconds. The touchdown to Fedorowicz. First opening drive touchdown since November of 2015 for the Texans. Mariani is back deep to receive for the Titans. They brought him back, and he's going to come up, and from the 2-yard line, he's going to try to return this one. The key is to try to get back to the 25, and he is marked down at the 20. Be the first to know your team's news with the CBS Sports app. Get instant updates, expert analysis, highlights, and more. Download the CBS Sports app today. Well, Marcus Mariota has never faced the Texans. He was injured both games last year. 3-4 on the road, 1-7 at home. His numbers are odd. 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions on the road, 11-12 at home.
It is a little bit strange, but just like the Texans, he's looking for a quicker start to get points on the board, something they've struggled with so far this season in their very first drive of the game.
Told us yesterday that schemes are the biggest thing that he's had to adjust to from college to the NFL, and his first pass play is complete. to Sharp on the outside. So let's take a look at the Titans offense. He's got a new center, and for the Texans, it's their old center, Ben Jones, and he's made a world of difference. Skill position players, Delaney Walker is back, and that is so big for Mariota. Little up-tempo style. Mariota checking the play at the line of scrimmage. He'll move DeMarco Murray in the backfield. Andre Johnson, the former Texan, is on the near side. The handoff to Murray, finding that hole. And he'll get a couple. Let's take a look at the Texans D. Obviously, folks have talked about this all week long. Who's going to take over for J.J. Watt? Well, Jadeveon Clowney, he is going to be a freelancer as far as pass rushing goes. Ryan Cushing is back. That's huge. He's the Mike linebacker. We'll talk about those positions as the game moves on. And Kareem Jackson, the seventh-year pro out of Alabama, with 12 career interceptions. He'll be pressed into duty today.
We got Clowney right here, and he's lined up against the rookie right tackle, Jack Conklin.
What did Mike Mularkey say? Romeo Crennel is going to try to find the weak link with Jadeveon Clowney. Mariota inside handoff to Murray, and Murray is stopped by McKinney coming off a 16 tackle performance. He gets a couple up to the 29.
I think that's the big question here, is how is Romeo Crennel now going to deploy his defensive front? And I think it's a good sign for Clowney, because now I see him playing more of his natural position. I truly believe that putting him on the edge, allowing him to work on that open side tackle and crafting his game is where we're going to see more impact from Clowney moving forward.
Tyler Ervin back deep to receive. The veteran Brett Kern on the punt. And Kern booms this one. And it goes over the head of Ervin and bounces into the end zone. 71-yard punt. You want to meet the ultimate Texan? We found him. It wasn't easy.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Verizon. Welcome to Verizon LTE Advanced, the next-gen network. And by Toyota. Let's go places.
What is this, Wembley Stadium, where there's every NFL jersey that's replicated? Darrelle Revis and Revis Island has come here to Houston. On first down, the pass is complete inside the 25 to Jalen Strong. Avery Williamson with the tackle. Nice start for Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, and what he's doing is he's been patient, and he's taking what the defense is giving him. You see, they're trying to get the ball downfield, but very quickly finding his check down receiver and now putting them in a good spot on second down.
So second down and 5. It's officially a 5-yard gain, and now they go I formation with Prosch as the fullback. The handoff to Miller. And Miller stopped short of the line of scrimmage. Al Woods comes up to make the tackle. Well, how about these touches for Lamar Miller? He's averaging 28 per game. We asked Bill O'Brien about it, and he said, well, I know he can handle it, but we do have to back off him a little bit.
Yeah, I don't think he wants him to be that 25, 28 carry per game workhorse. So I think they're expecting, Alfred Blue to be that physical back and spell him in that short yardage situation. But you can see he's got that burst and that excitement in his step.
Here's Fedorowicz, who has the first down up to the 31, and a flag comes in. I think we're going to get face masking on Damian Stafford, who's starting for the injured Denara Searcy.
It's either a face mask or a horse collar. You see Stafford's right hand went across the back of his neck.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle, defense. Number 24, 15-yard penalty from the end of run. First down, Houston.
That's Cleve Lakeman, who's the referee.
So they've expanded the rule a little bit. Well, that's an actual technical horse collar. You see the fingers right there inside the neck. But the rule now this season is now if you even grab the nameplate or anywhere up in that upper back.
Yeah, from the nameplate above. I think he could have been called for either one of them. The penalty moves the football to the 46. Under 7 minutes to play, first quarter. The opening drive for the Texans resulted in a touchdown. Here's Osweiler to throw on first down. Looking to the far side, and Ryan Griffin is wide open. Man, is he using his tight ends today to the 9-yard line. Jason McCourty eventually made the tackle.
Great play-action passing game. Hopkins clears it out on Osweiler's left, and then the protection allows Griffin to come all the way from the other side of the field, and a great look from Osweiler.
45-yard gain. Here's Miller running left, and he steps inside, but also stepped out of bounds. And they'll mark him close to the 5-yard line.
Well, two things. I think Osweiler checking the ball down when appropriate, but also his offensive line giving him great protection. And right there, that route takes so long to develop. The only way you can stop it is to have somebody up front affect the quarterback in some way and get him to check that ball down. I think Tennessee, if you look at them defensively, have to find a way to do more to disrupt Osweiler and force him to his other options.
How about 8 of 9 for 107 yards out of the shotgun here on 2nd and goal. Off the play fake, quickly to the end zone. Will Fuller, touchdown Texans. That is one well-designed play.
Heavy play action here, and then you're going to get Fuller in behind Parrish Cox in press coverage, bad eyes, and expecting somebody on the inside to give him some help. Everybody reacts to the run. Wide open in the back of the end zone. That's easy.
Well, I know Parrish Cox was talked about last week an awful lot because the Raiders really targeted him. As Adam said, he was looking for a little help on that touchdown. He did not get it. Osweiler 9 of 10 for 112 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ryan Griffin set things up. This is a beautiful use of his hands and his legs to get deep inside Tennessee territory. And then speaking of legs and hands, how about Will Fuller, the rookie, his 2nd TD of the year. The Texans drafted Will Fuller the 5th in the 1st round to get somebody to compliment DeAndre Hopkins. Well, he's been a heck of a compliment. 14 points per game is their average. Well, they already have 14 points after that pass play. And now the Titans down 2 scores will get it back for the 2nd time this afternoon. Mariani returned the last one. He'll return this one as well from the 3. Trying to find some space, hurtling up across the 25 to the 28. All right, let's take a look at the Ryan Griffin reception that set up the touchdown.
It's all about pass protection. This is play action pass. And you're going to see here right after the fake, they're going to try and get the ball all the way to this area with Griffin coming all the way to the other side of the field. That takes a long time. Remember, Griffin, he's not a 4-3 wide receiver, and that pocket is as clean as it can get. Great play call and good execution by the offensive line to give Osweiler time.
Well, here's Mariota down 14-0. He'll hand it off to DeMarco Murray. And up close to the 32-yard line. Murray is averaging 6 yards per carry this year, which is 2 yards per carry better than last season with the Eagles. Now, Mike Mularkey said we do have to figure out the whole shotgun under center thing. And you see Mariota under center on this particular play. He said because obviously Murray likes when Mariota's under the center, and Mariota likes when he's in the shotgun. He said, but both have to adjust, and Murray gets across the 40 to the 42-yard line. Kareem Jackson makes the tackle after a gain of 11.
And one thing you notice, DeMarco Murray known as an inside runner back from his days of the Dallas Cowboys, but this year he's also been able to hit that edge, and a big reason for that, the blocking of his tight ends. It's one thing to have a big physical offensive line, but if you want to hit the edge, the tight ends, in that case, Anthony Fasano, have to do a great job, and that's what he got.
There's Delaney Walker, who's out of the backfield. 2 tight ends set on the right side. On 1st down, Mariota to throw. To the far side, he has Walker, and Walker falls to the ground and makes a reception at the 35-yard line. Andre Howell makes the tackle. Gain of 24.
Yeah, Delaney Walker has been probably their best downfield threat, and this time, again, taking advantage of zone coverage. It looked like John Simon came up on the tight end, and that allowed that big open space versus that zone defense for Mariota to get the ball down into.
Well, we mentioned in the open how much of a big deal it is to get Walker And also Kendall Wright back today for the Titans. That's Walker in motion on first down. Mariota looks, and the ball is tipped off the hands of Walker. All right, let's take a look at Arch's angles. Adam, what are you looking for today?
Well, I think the first thing, and we've seen it a little bit, but Tennessee has to contain Hopkins and Fuller. Fuller so far has had a terrific day. You have a physical pounding run game. The next step, you have to have a deadly play action off of that. And then Whitney Mercilus and Jadeveon Clowney have to take the spotlight as the ultimate disruptors in this Houston Texan defense.
By the way, I am loving the character of Adam Archuleta. Down to the 30-yard line. Did you ever think that you would look so suave in a cartoon?
Every day. Whoever did that did a perfect job.
By the way, you need any oxygen? It looked like you needed oxygen in that one photo.
By the way, that happened after going 92 on a fumble return on Monday Night Football. If it
matters.
Yes.
3rd down and 5.
Kendall Wright making an appearance. 3rd down slot specialist for Tennessee.
Mariota looks to his right. Here comes the pressure, throws to the middle of the field, and it's incomplete. He's fortunate that that was not intercepted. McKinney was right in his face, so was Clowney. It'll be 4th down and a field goal attempt.
Talked about the impact that we have to make off the left side. Clowney working on Conklin. Look at the hands and the power. That opens up the gate, and then you have good pressure coming from the other side, and that's what you want to see. Clowney working on the edge against the offensive tackle in one-on-one to create havoc.
Well, this will be a 48-yard field goal attempt for Ryan Suckup. 20 straight inside the 50-yard line. Good snap, good hold, and perfect elements for a clean field goal. Titans are on the board. 14-3, Texans on top. Not a bad drive for Mariota. His second one of the day.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Bud Light. Beer with your team on it.
NFL Play 60, the NFL's movement for a more active generation, encourages fans to get moving and play for 60 minutes every day. Learn how you can join the NFL Play 60 movement at NFL.com/Play60. Now, Kids Day here at NRG Stadium. Kids before the ball game were given the eye block to help celebrate it. And plus, the Texans YMCA NFL flag teams handed out Texas Children's Hospital and Texans co-branded eye blacks to all the fans 12 and under coming in. Now that's a cool look. Kickoff goes out of the end zone. So the Texans have scored on their first 2 drives. Let's see what they do when we get back. You become one of the best wide receivers in the National Football League, Adam. You're going to get a lot of attention. Tell us what's happening with DeAndre Hopkins this year.
Well, last week, New England Patriots did a terrific job because they knew where he was going to line up. That allowed Logan Ryan to get physical with him at the line of scrimmage because he understood he had a safety presence over the top. And that made the windows extremely tight. This time, Osweiler thinks he has one-on-one coverage and he has the right matchup. But on the snap, they switch responsibilities. You have over-under coverage, and Osweiler has to go to another receiver.
Well, there is his mom, Sabrina Greenlee, who is blind but is here at the ball game today, getting a chance to feel the atmosphere of her son as the wide receiver. And he has tweeted out that for every touchdown he scores in the month of October, he'll donate $1,000 to AVDA to help support domestic violence awareness. Osweiler under pressure, and he is dropped. Brian Arakpo came across the 15 to take him down. First sack of the day.
Well, that's one thing. We just talked about the play action where he had all the time in the world. They go to a very similar play. Boy, and that time Chris Clark just gets beat flat out on the snap of the football, and Osweiler has zero chance to get the ball downfield. Now, Tennessee so far in this game is playing DeAndre Hopkins honest. They're playing single coverage. They're not giving any help. I think the Texans are going to try and take advantage of those matchups.
Well, he's covered by Parrish Cox now on the near side of the field. Osweiler from the shotgun, middle of the field. Fedorowicz up to the 25. Let's get an update from JB in New York.
Kirk Cousins, Mr. Reed.
Kirk Cousins says, watch me work. 10 of 11 for 70 yards. He's going to find Jordan Reed for a second touchdown. Washington all over Cleveland, 14-0.
Back to Tom and Adam.
Guys, since the start of 2015, he has the highest completion rate among quarterbacks in the National Football League, and I think he's adding to it today against those Browns. On third down from the 25, that's Fuller in motion. And Osweiler throws one. Man, that was a fastball right at his thighs. And Fuller, look at his speed, breaks a few tackles inside Titans territory. That was not an easy pass to corral. Carl Klug makes the tackle, a gain of 28.
Well, you love his speed. And here's what happens is watch the wall, the Texans wall that get out in front of this and completely leave the middle of the field open for Will Fuller. 4.3 speed. He can run takeoff routes, but also if you give him a chance with space, he can run away from the defense.
Osweiler 11 of 12 for 150 yards. Miller will run on first down. Flags come in late. It's a gain of about 5, but we may have holding.
Holding. Offense, number 74. 10-yard penalty. Replay first down.
Thursday, your weekend starts here when the Cardinals tackle the Niners. It's Thursday Night Football on CBS, NFL Network, and Twitter. Look at this ball game between the Niners and the Cards. Both quarterbacks have got to figure some things out. Palmer, 5 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's high. Gabbert, I don't know if he's got the total grasp of Chip Kelly's offense just yet.
Does anybody?
I think you have to ask DeMarco Murray that. First out from the 43. Under center is Osweiler. Couple play fakes. Dumps it off to Miller. He's got a blocker and out of bounds at the 47-yard line. Avery Williamson makes the tackle. 2 seconds left. 1. And that is it for the first quarter. Oh, a very active first quarter. 14-3 Texans will return to Houston after these messages. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Brock Osweiler is 9 for his last 9 with 2 touchdown passes, already 130 yards. I mean, that's a pretty good checklist right there. Second down at 10 from the 47. That's Fedorowicz in motion. Titans showing blitz from the near side. Osweiler throws middle of the field. One-handed grab by Fuller. He hung on. Oh, man, to the 27. Rashad Johnson makes the tackle.
Wow, that is one heck of a grab. Play action, the linebacker comes up, and you're just trying to hit that skinny post against 3 deep coverage, and Will Fuller over the middle.
On first down, nothing going for Lamar Miller. He is smothered. Well, they talk about his route running. This is unbelievable. Listen to this.
And he knows that Rashad Johnson is sitting there in the middle of the field, and hey, I'm going to give Rashad Johnson the benefit of the doubt. If this was 5-6 years ago, I don't think Will Fuller catches that ball. That's the way the game has affected some of these free safeties.
Will Fuller, 5 catches, 74 yards. DeAndre Hopkins has not been thrown to yet. Miller's covered by Arakpo on the near side, and that pass is incomplete. Let's go to New York for an update with JB and Bart.
Raiders, Jalen Richard, 47-yard punt return sets this up.
Brian Carr on the sprint out. He's going to find Seth Roberts. We call that pitch and catch for the 6-yard score. Oakland up 7-0 in Baltimore.
Back to Mr. McCarthy, Mr. Archuleta.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. We appreciate that. It'll be a third down as the Raiders seeking their first ever road win in Baltimore. And there's an injured player down, an injured Titan down. Brock Osweiler will head to the sidelines. They'll tend to the Titans player. Well, that's a good sign. Al Woods is walking along the sidelines. He had to be helped off the field after his injury. So Klug comes in to take his spot in the middle of that line. On third down, Osweiler trying to get away from Derek Morgan. He throws as he's going down. It's incomplete. It'll be fourth down.
Well, Titans starting to heat it up a little bit. Dick LeBeau bringing some different looks. Top of the screen, number 91, speed rush. Derek Morgan, I'm sure they're glad to see him back in the lineup and harassing quarterbacks, but that's just speed rush on Derek Newton getting lower and turning the corner.
Offense number 17. It's a 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Includes a loss of down. It brings up 4th down.
Yeah, I wondered about that, Adam. They didn't throw a flag, but they did talk. It looked like he was going down as he started to throw that football.
There we go. Doesn't look like any Texan in the immediate area, at least on our screen.
Yeah. So it'll be 4th down, and they'll have to punt now. Leckler is on the punt. Leckler has been one of the best punters in the NFL for a long time, and a flag comes in. There's Clete Blakeman, the referee. 7th year as a ref in the NFL.
12 men on defense. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. It's still 4th down.
All right, so now you have to decide if you're the Texans with that 5-yard penalty, could they be in field goal range? That's what they're talking about right now on the sidelines.
Would put it right about, what, 52 yards?
Yep. So they are going to attempt a field goal. Nick Novak is heading onto the field. Penalties were a big deal last week for Mike Mularkey and the Titans in the loss to the Oakland Raiders. Whether you agreed with some of them or not, and they are up for debate. Yeah, this will be a 53-yard field goal attempt by Novak. 53 is actually the long for his career. Great conditions to let this one fly. Good snap, good hold. Kick is on its way, and it is good. So the penalty changes a punt to a field goal. It's 17-3. Texans on top. 13:42 to play here in the first half.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Dodge. Domestic, not domesticated. State Farm. Talk to an agent today at 800-STATE-FARM. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
All week long here in Houston, folks worried about the fact that they did not have J.J. Watt anymore because of the back surgery. Well, Brock Osweiler has already exceeded the average point total for the Texans in a game this year. 17 points for Houston. Antonio Andrews to return this one from the far side. And he is nailed at the 22-yard line. Max Bulla with a special teams tackle.
Well, this has to be extremely irritating for Mike Mularkey, and there is a punt returner back there to have 12 men on the field and then give them essentially an opportunity to put 3 points on the board off of something that should never happen on a punt return team.
Yeah, we glanced down. We saw the veteran Bobby April, the special teams coach, talking to Mike Mularkey after that field goal. Here's DeMarco Murray, and Murray will get up to the 25-yard line. We have not seen Derrick Henry yet. Devin Still makes the tackle, but we may see Devin Henry soon, and you can't miss him. There he is right there. He's as big as a house.
Well, they've been in this position before. They've been down in every game that they played in, and they really wanted to come in here and start and get better in the first quarter than they have been, and it was very evident to Terry Robisky, the offensive coordinator, and he said, somehow, some way, we have to find a way to get up so that we can run our entire offense, but a familiar spot for Tennessee.
On second down, they had a bunch of receivers to the outside, and a wide open receiver, Rashard Matthews, inside Texans territory. He's eventually taken down by Kareem Jackson, and that was a beautiful pass by Mariota.
Well, pass protection again. This thing took a long time to develop, but Matthews is here, and he's going to run an out and an in, and there's no free safety presence in Mariota with a beautiful ball. A little stutter out, and he gets it there before the free safety can get outside the numbers. That's the explosive passing game that the coaching staff and the Tennessee fans have been waiting for.
11th pass reception for Matthews, 60 yards. Derrick Henry is in the game. The handoff goes to Murray. Murray trying to get to the outside. Henry trying to give him some room. And he gets inside the 5-yard line. Brian Cushing, who's back after an MCL sprain, is credited with the tackle. There's Cushing. We saw him in practice on Friday. He was moving around big time, so that was a good indication he would be able to play today for the Texans.
Yeah, they have to put an edge to the defense. John Simon has to do a better job of getting the running back inside for guys like Brian Cushing to come in and clean up the tackle.
It'll be first and goal from the 3. There's Simon. Mariota's 60-yard pass play to Matthews sets this up. Second longest pass completion of his young career. Matthews was in motion. Mariota looking to throws it to the back of the end zone. That was smart because nothing was developing. He looked like he was trying to set up some kind of a screen.
It was the same play that Osweiler hit earlier on the Titans defense. They're going hard play action pass and trying to get the safeties and the corners to have bad eye discipline, but that time both safeties, both corners doubled the outside receivers and nowhere for Mariota to throw the football.
Well, Mariota and the Titans, 5.3 points per game in the first half this season, the worst in the NFL. That's kind of what Adam was talking about. They're fine in the fourth quarter. It's the first half that's problematic. Murray in motion into the backfield. And he'll take the handoff up the middle. Touchdown, Tennessee. DeMarco Murray, his second rushing touchdown of the year. And now flags come in after some pushing after the score was signaled.
Boy, great down block by Lewan, the left tackle, and a kick-out block from the right guard, Josh Klein. And that was DeMarco Murray, downhill, shoulder square. Good running touchdown.
It's his 4th touchdown overall this year. So the officials will talk about who the penalty is going to be charged to. It could be offsetting at this point. They just want to have control. They don't want anything to get out of control. Like Covington may have been involved. Bill O'Brien is peering.
The ruling on the field is a touchdown. After the play, we have unsportsmanlike conduct. Offense number 60 for a taunt against an opponent. That'll be number 60's first foul that results in a possible disqualification. The 15-yard penalty will be added to the kickoff.
Well, Ben Jones, the former Texan, getting in the face of his old teammates.
See Ben Jones, number 60, standing over the pile.
I don't know. Oh, maybe right there. I thought maybe Spain did something.
Come on, man. God.
Well,
can't you just get into a friendly argument on the football field?
No, you have to send a text or an email, Adam.
That's pretty dicey in my book.
Here's the point after. And the Titans are within a score thanks to Murray's touchdown, but it was Rashard Matthews' 60-yard pass play that set up the score. Mariota with a quick handoff. Considering that DeMarco Murray only had 6 touchdowns last year, the most rushing touchdowns since 2013, he's ahead of the retired Marshawn Lynch, and Jamal Charles obviously is still out with his injury. But that's how good a running back he has been. I know he had issues last year in Philadelphia and was happy to get to Tennessee, but that's how good he's been.
Well, and that was a perfect drive by the offense. Mix in the running game and then hit a big play action pass downfield, cash in for 6 or 7 in the red zone.
Here's Irvin inside the 5, and he's going to burst across the 25 and across the 30 to the 31. Tonight, the remarkable story of the woman who fought off her terrorist kidnappers and won. Plus, who is in control of the trillions of dollars worth of natural resources in the Arctic? 60 Minutes travels to the top of the world to find out. Tonight, only CBS. All right, the Texans' first 3 possessions have resulted in scores. 9 plays, touchdown. 6 plays, touchdown. 9 plays and a huge penalty against the Titans results in a field goal.
We've seen a bit more pressure in the last drive on Osweiler from the Tennessee defense. and that's a good sign for Dick LeBeau.
Alfred Blue in the game gets his first touch of the afternoon. A helmet goes flying on the opposite side of the field, and Blue gets up close to midfield. Derek Morgan's hat came off, and he's saying, hey man, do I have to leave? It wasn't my fault.
Well, Lamar Miller talked about the need to be more decisive. Watch when he sees the cut right there and explode past the line of scrimmage. That was a great job, or excuse me, Alfred Blue, a good job going downhill and getting some positive yards in the run game.
So a gain of 17. They'll mark the ball at the 48. And here's a flea flicker. Osweiler wobbles one to Hopkins, and he was hit as he let it go. Arakpo was right in his grill. Well, we talked about a flea flicker yesterday in our meetings with the Titans, though. A flea flicker that Mike Mularkey threw against Adam Archuleta's Rams some years ago.
Well, when you do a flea flicker, you got to protect. It takes a long time, and that time Arakpo completely blew past the tight end there. I believe it was Ryan Griffin, just an up and under, splits. No chance. Got to do a better job protecting.
Chris Clark may have gotten away with a hold, too, on Arakpo. He might have been into Osweiler's face a little earlier. On second down, off the play fake, pressure's coming, slings it to Fedorowicz, and he stiff arms inside the 35. He's been a huge asset this afternoon. A gain of 18, Stafford with the tackle.
Well, it's one thing that he really worked on this offseason was his routes and his hands. He's been more of a run blocker here in the offense, but so far today, right out of his break, the ball hits him right in the hands. Clean catch, gets upfield. And quite a day for Fedorowicz.
He only had 2 catches coming into this game. He has 4 now. Here's Alfred Blue. Carl Klug slows him up. Let's go to New York and JB for an update.
Well, Terrell Pryor says, just play me anywhere.
Cleveland says, I got a lot of more to enter my clubber lane as he finds Terrell Pryor for the 9-yard score. 14 unanswered in Cleveland. They believe.
Well, Pryor just spared that expensive camera lens there, too. Tom McCarthy, Adam Archuleta.
Well, JB, the Browns looking for their first win of the season. He really has made the transition to receiver and has done it in an excellent way. Osweiler has pressure coming from Morgan, dumps it off to Blue, and he's out of bounds at the 30. 6 yards shy of the first down. David Bass makes the tackle. Boy, Derek Morgan has really been active today for the Titans.
I think one thing, if you're Tennessee, is you have to put pressure on Osweiler.
Number
when he's under pressure,
eligible, 63.
the stats go way down, Tom. It goes down to 40% completion percentage and a 34 quarterback rating. And you've seen now the defense get some free hitters and get into Osweiler's face. So they have to continue to get that look against this offense.
Well, they've scored on their first 3 possessions today. It's 3rd down and 6. Osweiler from the shotgun slings it to the far side, and he overthrows Jalen Strong. And it'll be another field goal attempt. Or I should say it'll be a punt in this case. No, it'll be a field goal attempt. They're within range. DeAndre Hopkins, that's the first target of the day for him.
And I think he was, I don't even know if he was going to Hopkins right there. I think Jalen Strong was wide open. You see a stack release. Jalen Strong is wide open right there for the first down, and Osweiler just misfires. He's played a pretty clean game so far, but that's one that he missed.
Well, this will be a 48-yard field goal attempt. The long snapper is John Weeks, playing in his 100th consecutive ball game. Good snap, good hold. The kick, though, doesn't have a whole lot on it. It's wide to the right. And there's an injured Texan player down on the field. It's Fedorowicz. And the Titans players are calling for the athletic trainers to get here. We'll check them out when we return.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by national mortgage lender Quicken Loans, home by Refi Power, and by Pizza Hut. No one out-pizzas the Hut.
Well, the good news is that Fedorowicz is walking off the field. He is limping. That's him right there on this field goal attempt by Novak. And it's his own man, Adam, and that's what happens a lot of times on these plays.
Yeah, that field goal protection unit is nasty. You have so many big bodies. Your legs are locked. I'm actually a little surprised that that kind of thing doesn't happen more often on that play.
Try to get you an update as soon as we have one. Derrick Henry's in the ballgame as the running back off the play fake. Mariota looking to throw. Mariota can also run if he needs to, and he tucks it and gets it out of bounds. But he did a good job, not that he was hit there, of making sure that he kept it tucked. Because obviously his ball security has been a big question, and he's answered all the questions too.
Yeah, absolutely. And he said that, one thing that I have to do is make sure I'm not trying to win the game on one play. And I got to believe it's a very difficult challenge for a guy that just is used to running and being instinctual out there and not having to worry about that football. But that is certainly a part of his game with his athletic ability that he's going to have to continue to do.
Second down and 1. Here is Henry running left. His fullback trying to free him, and he gets the first down, even though he was dragged from behind by Whitney Mercilus.
This is a heck of a play right here. I know that he got the first down, but it was only second and short. But Mercilus fighting off the block of the fullback right there and making the tackle was a pretty good job. And Mercilus known more, of course, for his pass rushing prowess. But with Watt out of the lineup is going to have to do a equally good job against the run.
Yeah, he had 3.5 sacks last year against the Titans in a game. 7 sacks overall for the Texans in one of those ball games. That's Sharp, the rookie, in motion. Mariota with the play fake. And he's looking to run again. Nope, he's going to throw it, and it's intercepted. Quentin Demps. In his second tour of duty with the Texans, Quentin Demps comes up with the interception. Just the second of the year for the Texans. So Houston will take over up 7 with 6:55 to play. The defense forces the turnover.
Well, it looks like Mariota has all day to run, but what he sees is the defensive back at the last moment come off of Delanie Walker as he threatens the line of scrimmage. See, right at the last moment, he sees the defender get off of him. He tries to make a big play, but it goes back to what we just talked about, tucking the ball, trying to do too much, trying to win the game on one play, and makes a critical error.
Well, that's 5 interceptions this year for Mariota. It'll be first down for the Texans. Miller in the backfield. Osweiler dancing in the pocket, throws to Hopkins, and it's intercepted by the Titans. Parrish Cox stayed with it and was able to corral it. Actually, Jason McCourty, who was in on DeAndre Hopkins, was able to corral it.
You don't see this happen very often, that the cornerback, in this case McCourty, outfights Hopkins for the football. You see the ball, it was a bad ball inside. Hopkins does his best to corral it, but the concentration for McCourty in traffic right there to keep his eye on that football and get the ball back for his offense was just a tremendous play. But going back, the rush again up front affected Osweiler and his throw.
Well, he said to us yesterday in our meetings, he said, you need to be aggressive when you're covering DeAndre Hopkins. You have to compete, and he competed there. Here's Murray inside the 35, down to the 32-yard line, a gain of nearly 8 on the play. McCourty, who's coming back from 2 groin surgeries that cost him a majority of 2015. He's one of the best cover corners in the National Football League. Second down and 3. You see Murray 9 rushes for 47 yards. He'll get it again. And he's tripped up right at the line of scrimmage. He may have fallen forward to the 31, so he gains 1. Devin Still makes the tackle.
What a big play by McCourty. I mean, just when Tennessee was driving, they were doing something, you give the ball up, and to make that kind of a play in that moment and give your offense now a chance on the other side of the 50-yard line was just a tremendous defensive play by the veteran cornerback.
Third down and 2.
Great time, great formation for a quarterback run.
He fakes to his left, and here he goes. The quarterback run results in a first down. And he's down to the 27-yard line. Andre Howell makes the tackle.
Anytime you see the backside here, they try and motion out Murray to capture the attention of the defense and use the tight end Fasano as a lead blocker, and they believe that Mariota is going to be able to pick up that yardage getting to the outside.
Andre Howell is injured and now down on the field for the Texans. We'll take a peek at him. He was the one who made the tackle. Third-year pro out of Vanderbilt.
It looked like he got kicked by Mariota's toe.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Well, you see that left arm.
Yep.
You see the leg he kicks the arm of Howell, and that looks painful.
Well, he's out. Corey Moore is in. And for the Titans, it'll be first down from the 27. With all the movement that the Texans have had today, the Titans can tie this ball game up with a touchdown. On first down, Mariota looking to throw to the middle of the field, and his pass is incomplete, intended for Sharp, the rookie out of UMass. Kareem Jackson was in on the coverage. It'll be second down.
He got the look that he wanted. Sharp running a sharp route, widening, and then coming back on the inside. And I think if Mariota looks at this again, he's going to understand that that ball has to be much lower. Anytime you go over the middle in the red zone, that ball has to come down to give your receiver a shot.
Well, now you got Murray and Henry both in the backfield. Murray's in motion. The handoff goes to Henry. Breaks a tackle at the line of scrimmage down to the 21. Cushing makes the tackle. All right, so far this afternoon, the two quarterbacks, Osweiler 15 of 21 for 202 yards and 2 touchdowns and an INT. Mariota under 100 yards, but again, he's facing a third down inside Texans territory. Down by 7, 17-10.
But we haven't seen Kendall Wright yet have an impact on this offense. He's the third receiver right there in a bunch.
And he's looking that way, but he throws it to Murray, who's got the first down and more. He steps away from one tackler and dives forward inside the 7. That has been a huge part of the Titans offense, is finding DeMarco Murray as a receiver.
Well, and this is an assignment bust from the Texans defense. You got 4 receivers to one side, and you don't have enough defenders. All the linebackers are bluffing at the line of scrimmage, and Murray easily is able to get open in the flat, and a good job by Mariota to find that flaw in the defense and kick the ball out to his favorite receiver.
First and goal from the 7 after a gain of 14. Andre Johnson to the left. Sharp, the rookie, is to the right as a receiver. Mariota looks to the end zone and throws it out of the end zone. It was intended for Sharp.
Well, Texans playing good eye discipline. Again, trying to get the ball to Andre Johnson. Play action, throwback, but you can see right away Mariota knew that that was covered up, and then he's trying to find something, but there's nobody downfield. Texans eye discipline today in the red zone, in the tight red area. Fantastic.
There is Andre Johnson, the all-time leading receiver in Texans history, making his second game return back to Houston. He played one game here last year with Indianapolis. Here's Murray inside the 5, trying to move the pile, and does close to the 1. John Simon, Vince Wilfork make the tackle.
I tell you, two goal line plays today. Josh Klein, the right guard, who got his first start last week for Chance Warmack, is just doing a tremendous job getting that push inside. And then Quentin Spain getting up to the linebackers. I would just pound Murray 2 more times. to get the touchdown.
Already 55 yards for Murray this afternoon. Third down. He'll get it again, and he leaps toward the end zone. Touchdown, Titans 1 point away from tying the ball game up. Well, Jason McCourty's interception has set up excellent field position for the Titans, and they were able to cash it in.
Well, the left side, this combination right there, Lewan and Supernaut, in the addition of Fowler clearing out the way, makes a big hole for Murray. This offensive line starting to find their groove a little bit, trying to get some push off the ball.
Well, Ryan Suckup on for the point after the tie the ball game up at 17. Low snap, handled well, kick is on its way, and it is good. So after all of the energy that the Texans had in the first quarter, we are tied up at 17. And it was Jason McCourty's interception that set this up.
It's a huge play. It's a tremendous play. As we talked about, you just don't see that very often. Pretty much every time Hopkins in that situation comes down with the ball and then pounded in. DeMarco Murray, big third down conversion, receiving, and then just feed him anytime you get inside the 5-yard line.
So we are tied at 17 with 2:28 to play here in the first half. And Brock Osweiler getting ready to go back to work. Tonight on CBS, it's the powerful season premiere of Madam Secretary. Téa Leoni stars in the hit drama tonight after NCIS Los Angeles, only CBS. DeMarco Murray, they say, has not only helped Derrick Henry. That was the question we posed to Mike Mularkey. He said he not only helps Derrick Henry, he's helping everybody with his professionalism, with his preparation.
They knew he was a good player, but a little surprising that he'd be that good, especially in the receiving game and in third downs and protection. He's been everything they could have asked for.
Well, they converted 3 third downs on that drive, including the touchdown. Ingram will take that 9 yards deep and just take a knee. So 3 timeouts left for the Texans, 2:28 to play, plus the 2-minute warning. Coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report, join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and the NFL Network. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. They'll talk about the Jags win earlier in London. Hearts were thumping down in Jacksonville at the end of that one.
They know how to make it saucy at the end, don't they?
They sure do. First down for Osweiler. He's got the 3 timeouts and plus the 2-minute warning. So plenty of time to get something going here. Some switching going on by the Titans secondary. And the pass is complete to Jalen Strong up to the 35. Damian Stafford in on the tackle.
And much more blitzing again. I think Dick LeBeau senses that the more pressure they're bringing on Osweiler, the better chance they have as a defense, because when he's been able to sit there with a clean pocket, he's been able to find any receiver he wants.
Inside handoff goes to Miller, and Miller will have the first down up to the 38-yard line, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. Avery Williamson makes the tackle. Tied at 17, but an action-packed first half. The last 2 minutes coming up. 79-year-old Dick LeBeau, the defense coordinator for the Titans, Hall of Famer as a D-back. We asked him yesterday, how would you cover DeAndre Hopkins? He said, well, when I played, you could use your hands a lot more. You can't use it as much here today in this day and age. But so far, so good with Hopkins. He's only been thrown to 1 time, and that was the interception by McCourty, as Ryan Griffin cannot come up with that tough pass.
Now, I'm a little surprised because they have played a little bit too deep with the safeties back, the corners up. But they've also given Osweiler a lot of singled up looks, and they've yet to really find a good connection.
Second down and 10 from the 38-yard line. The handoff to Miller, and Miller lowers his shoulder up to the 44. Again, Houston has all of its timeouts left, and if you're thinking field goal, they probably have to get to the 35 for Nick Novak's distance.
The time's not really an issue here. You got plenty of timeouts. The thing is, you have to pick up this first down, because you don't want to get Tennessee. Now, Tennessee is not an explosive offense, but you don't want to give them a lot of time before halftime.
A third down, Osweiler throws to the middle of the field, incomplete. He intended that pass for Will Fuller, and he threw it behind him. So now it's 4th down And Tennessee will indeed get it back also with 3 timeouts.
Yeah, exactly defensively what you want. 3 and out, preserve your timeouts, force Osweiler into making a bad pass, incomplete pass, stop the clock. And that time Fuller had position, just a bad throw.
Mariani back deep to receive this punt. It's a high one. And he's going to try to return it. He is hit immediately and taken down at the 12-yard line. Charles James makes the special teams tackle. Reminder coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report. Join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights, as well as a preview of Thursday Night Football on CBS and the NFL Network. That's all coming up on the Verizon Halftime Report.
Now, Mariota, they have bad field position here, so I don't know how aggressive, they're going to be coming out on their, 12-yard line. But in this situation, running the 2-minute offense, Mariota this season has actually looked pretty good.
You even look to the fourth quarter where his numbers are excellent. Maybe you have that sort of mindset here. From the 12-yard line, tied at 17. Mariota, quick pass is complete to Kendall Wright. Again, they have 3 timeouts left. Kareem Jackson makes the tackle. And the Texans call a timeout. So 1:09 to play here in the second quarter.
Hey, Bill O'Brien, what do you think he's thinking here? 2nd and 7? They might, knowing that the offense can't be too aggressive, get a stop, maybe some good field position, one more chance going in right before halftime?
Could be. He's got confidence in his offense. Mariota from the gun. Under pressure, he'll just throw it to the sidelines. He was basically throwing it away. John Simon was pursuing. It'll be 3rd down. All right.
So the timeout, that was a good job by Bill O'Brien, right?
Now you don't have to use another one because of the incomplete pass, and you're facing a 3rd down if you're the Titans.
And you're going to force now Tennessee either to just run the ball, so you're going to get the ball back, or try and force them into making a mistake throwing the ball downfield, trying to pick up the 1st down.
Mariota's numbers in this first half, that's right in motion. On 3rd down, he slings it, and it's tipped and nearly intercepted. It's incomplete. Excellent hands by A.J. Boye to tip that ball.
That's exactly what we just talked about. Force them into making a mistake trying to pick up the 1st down, and what a break on the ball by Boye, and almost a huge interception by Kevin Johnson. And only 17 seconds came off the clock right there. Texans going to get the ball in good shape.
Kern's first punt was 71 yards into the end zone, so a net of way less than that. And he's going to try to kick this one away from Ingram, who fields it at the 30-yard line. And Ingram breaks one tackle. There is a flag down. And he is out of bounds above the 45, or I should say Irvin. The flag came from the near side of the field.
Well, I think it's a face mask. I think it was Byard who came in and took and just snatched the face mask of Tyler Irvin. That's going to be a huge penalty. Tack on 15 more yards. Now Texans are in really good shape.
Cleve Blakeman is talking to Bill O'Brien, so they're going to move the ball forward. This is a huge break for the Texans.
During the kick, holding team, kicking team number 47. The 10-yard penalty enforced at the end of the run. 1st down, Houston.
Well, they called holding, and you're going to see here at the end of the play, number 31 grabbed the face mask of Irvin right there, almost took his helmet off. That's what I thought they were going to call, but
they certainly could have. Instead, it was Valentino Blake who was called for the holding. So it'll be 1st down from the 44 for the Texans with 2 timeouts left. They're 9 yards away from Novak's field goal range. Osweiler middle of the field, and he throws it short to Griffin.
They keep ignoring the side of the field that Hopkins is on.
How frustrating is that for somebody like DeAndre Hopkins?
It's got to be extremely frustrating. You know he wants to get his touches. You know, last week they completely took him out of the game, but I think in this game so far, there's been some opportunities and some really good coverage looks.
Well, Fuller's matched up with Parrish Cox at the top. Hopkins matched up with McCourty. Osweiler on second down throws left. He has his tight end Griffin to the 38. And a timeout called by Bill O'Brien with 35 seconds to play. So Nick Novak has missed a field goal today, but he's made a 53-yarder, which tied his career high. So the thought is they need at least 3 more yards to get within his range. Although the 53-yarder, he booted pretty good. The one he missed, though, I mean, he really missed it.
Yeah, so this is an interesting call because now you ask yourself, do we run the ball to try and get a few more yards for our kicker if we do not get the first down? But if it's an incomplete pass, now we're going to try an extremely long field goal that isn't really in our kicker's wheelhouse. You know, Novak is an under 40 guy. Anything under 40 yards, most of the time he's money. But the longer ones are where he struggles a bit.
So facing a 3rd down and 4. They need to get to the 34 for a first down. Osweiler to throw far side. Has Griffin, and Griffin gets to the 34. They say he stayed in bounds. So the clock winds, under 30 seconds to play. Well, they're letting a lot of clock go down here. They are within field goal range, so that's the good news. And Bill O'Brien now will use a timeout.
I don't know if they gave them the first down.
You know what? They are shy of the first down. They moved it back at the last moment.
Houston takes its 3rd and final timeout of the half. This is a 30-second timeout.
No, it's up for the officials to review it. Let's see where he's down. Well, I'll tell you, that looks like a pretty good spot. So it's 4th down.
There we go. Got to get to the 34-yard line. The ball clearly never gets to the 34-yard line.
Yeah, it looked like initially he had gotten there, but then was driven to the right. I think Bill O'Brien feels like he did get to the first down marker.
Yeah, not if he sees this angle.
So you are within field goal range. You do have 15 seconds left. It's going to be 4th down. Play clock is winding down. I think he's hoping that they look at this and say that it's a first down.
But the ball stays in his right arm, and it's tucked.
Yeah, I think you're right. That angle shows that he didn't get to the marker. So now Novak with the play clock down to 2-1. Boy, this is a poor decision making and poor clock management. Instead of it being a 53-yard field goal.
Offense, 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
This is going to be a 58-yard field goal attempt if they decide to go with it. I think Bill was really hoping that they were going to review that and give him a first down the way he was talking to the official.
Right now what he's saying is that you didn't give us, you started the 25-second clock too fast.
Well, he was arguing while they started it. Boy, that's just poor clock management on the part of the Texans. He is still pleading his case. So now they're going to go for it on 4th down and 6 with 15 seconds left, and a whistle blows and a timeout called by Tennessee.
Tennessee takes its 2nd timeout.
All right, so let's look at the clock rundown. Every head coach has this in his head about clock management. I mean, they've started the play clock, and they're just standing there, and Novak's nowhere to be found.
But I didn't even see where was the ready for play signal by the official.
I did see Clete Blakeman signal it, but at that point, Bill O'Brien was still talking to the officials. Look, they're pleading their case right now to Clete Blakeman. And they tried to get everybody on, but the play clock wound down.
Yeah, now no timeouts. You throw a ball in the middle of the field, you're looking at about minimum of 16, maybe 17 seconds off the clock. So You got to look at a short pass towards the sideline to get out of bounds and get back into field goal range.
And they've got to get the first down to the 33 at least. On 4th down and 6, Osweiler to the outside. Hopkins can't handle it. Flags come in, and that's going to wind up being an automatic first down. It was Parrish Cox who was in on the coverage.
Well, that's a big play.
It's a huge play because it's going to bail out the Texans.
Pass interference. Defense, number 20. The ball replaced at the spot of foul.
Wow.
First down, Houston.
I think you can clearly see Cox make contact before the ball arrives right there.
Absolutely.
Backs to the ball, not looking for the ball. Contact. That's an easy call.
Well, and it certainly bails out the Texans after their poor clock management.
Huge bailout.
Yep, so this will be a 45-yard field goal attempt by Nick Novak. The holder is Shane Leckler, the punter. John Weeks is the long snapper. Good snap, good hold, kick is on its way. It is good. So the Texans are on top 20-17 with 7 seconds to play in the first half. I think Bill O'Brien's still hot about the because obviously it makes his coaching staff look like they don't understand clock management because he didn't know that the play clock had rolled down. Look, he's still working Cleve Blakeman. Yeah, he was talking to the field judge Adrian Hill while the play clock was going before the penalty. All right, so Mike Mularkey's team is down 3 with 7 seconds to play here in the first half.
I think somebody should have, Osweiler should see that. Somebody on the offense should know that, they signaled the ready for play signal. And they were standing out there rather, nonchalantly, I guess.
And I think what compounded it is the fact that it was 4th down, so they probably should have the field goal team on at that point.
Absolutely.
So both field goals have directly occurred after Titan penalties here in the first half. Mike Mularkey, his team has given up a ton of yards in this first half, but they're only down 3. So Novak will tee it up at the 35-yard line. Mariani is back deep to receive, and they're just going to pooch this one. Andrews will let it go out of bounds. That can't happen either, but there's only 7 seconds left. He understood what he was trying to do, but...
Free kick out of bounds, kicking team. The ball will be placed at the 40-yard line.
So the ball will be placed at the 40-yard line. Well, Ryan Succop's long field goal is 54 yards for his career, 46 this year. I mean, there's 2 timeouts left, 7. There's not a lot of time left here.
No. But you'd still rather your defense start on the 25-yard
no
line
question.
or the 20-yard line rather than the 40.
No question. First down from the 40. Mariota backpedaling. Now he's going to step up and he's going to slide down, and that will be the final play of the first half. Well, this was a rather eventful last minute or so of the first half.
Of the first half.
As the Texans will take a 20-17 lead into the halftime locker room. Brock Osweiler, 18 of 27, 220 yards in the first half with 2 touchdowns and an interception. The end of the first half, the Texans on top by 3. The field goal by Novak after the penalty has given the Texans the lead. We'll be back with the Verizon halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Texans on top 20-17 as we get set to begin the third quarter this afternoon. Let's take a look at our first half highlight presented by DirecTV. Well, Osweiler came out firing. He was looking for his tight end, Fedorowicz, and he finds him in the back of the end zone for the first score of the day. He really went after the tight ends at him in the first quarter, and that's one of the reasons why he had such a good first 15 minutes.
Yeah, the first part of this game was outstanding with Bill O'Brien calling the plays and Osweiler looking extremely sharp. And they went after Will Fuller, and he got involved early, had some big plays. But in that second quarter, as you said, they started to feature the tight ends, I think, a little bit too much. They have yet to get DeAndre Hopkins involved, and I think that's a big part of the second half.
All right, the end of the first half really ended in a weird way. Clock management was under question. Look at this. Play clock is down to 10. They've got a field goal attempt, but they don't have their field goal unit on at this point. So they bring in Novak, but the play clock winds down. They get penalized. Bill O'Brien exasperated by it. And then they go for it, and pass interference by Parrish Cox leads to a second field goal attempt.
Well, they got bailed out, and they allowed their field goal kicker to get a little bit closer to give them that attempt. Bad play on Tennessee's part, but equally as poor, I would say, from the Houston standpoint of allowing that to get to that situation.
All right, so first half statistics. Time of possession was dominated by the Texans in the first quarter. That's changed. Both teams are 2 for 2 in the red zone. And the Texans, 262 yards of total yards. Obviously, most of that coming in the air. But the good news for the Titans is that they will get the football to begin the second half here this afternoon. There is Novak, who missed one field goal in the first half. Antonio Andrews and Mariani are back deep to receive for the Titans. Novak's last kickoff, which came after the field goal, he pooched to the far side of the field. It actually went out of bounds. This time he'll boot it toward the end zone. Mariani, though, is going to take it right at the goal line, and he'll bring it out. And Mariani trying to get away from the special teams. Coverage gets across the 25 and up to the 32. All right, let's revisit Arch's angles for today's game.
Well, Tennessee did a much better job in the second quarter on Will Fuller on containing this duo. Excellent job on Hopkins. Mariota hit the big play action pass. That was only 1 for 4, though. But you saw the big pass turn into points, turn into a touchdown. And this duo here so far has been rather quiet for the Texans, trying to affect Mariota in the passing game.
Yeah, let's see if they tune it up a little bit here as we begin the second half. Mariota with an empty backfield. Murray is off to the slot on the near side. Mariota finds Andre Johnson, who's out of bounds. That's his first target and first catch of the day. Jonathan Joseph in on the coverage.
I think coming out here in the third quarter for Mike Mularkey and his offense, they can get back to sort of what their plan was coming into this game and use the three-step passing game, use the running game to set up the shots down the field. But there was a point in this game where they were down by 14 points and they had to abandon that plan. But here they are starting the second half, able to get back into their offense.
Yeah, DeMarco Murray, 12 carries, 56 yards. He's got 2 touchdowns today. He'll take the second down handoff, and he dives forward about a yard shy of the first down. It'll be 3rd down and 1. There's Whitney Merciless. He's part of the tandem that we talked about. He's been involved in the tackling game. We've got an injured Titans player, Jack Conklin, the rookie out of Michigan State, who is down on a knee at the 36-yard line. He has really played well. The 8th pick of the first round this year by the Titans.
Boy, that happened late.
So we'll take a timeout. We'll be back right after this. They've been doing some stabilizing testing on Jack Conklin on the sidelines. He walked off without a problem. It'll be 3rd down and a yard for the Titans. The handoff to Murray, and Murray is slowed in the backfield. Boy, he's going to be awfully close. Whitney Merciless is the one that hit him in the backfield. And the DJ Reader came up.
That was a heck of a play by Merciless on the edge. Beats Supernaw at the top of the screen on number 89, sheds it, sets the edge to the defense, comes back inside. Big time play by number 59.
Well, this will all depend on the mark. They're going to bring the chains out to see if DeMarco Murray was able to get the first down. All right, so it looks like he did get the first down. So DeMarco Murray was able to get across the first down marker with 13:22 to play. here in the third quarter. Tomorrow on CBS, the Geniuses are back. Don't miss the 2-hour season premiere of the hit drama Scorpion. Tomorrow, 9, 8 Central. Only CBS. First down for the 43 of Tennessee. Supernaw in motion in the backfield. Mariota looking left. He's under pressure. Gets away from Will Fork. Flags come in, and he'll just throw it away. There's a flag thrown at the 40-yard line. It's going to be holding against Tennessee.
Holding. Offense. Number 60. 10-yard penalty. Replay.
Yeah, it's
First
Ben
down.
Jones on Will Fork. Good penetration for the big man. He's used to taking on double teams up inside. This time it's just one-on-one with the center. And Ben Jones has to resort to holding him and pulling him to the ground.
Vince Wilfork, the 13th-year pro. On Friday, what did we watch him do? Well, he was working with the defensive line, but he was also throwing fades to the defensive line in the end zone.
Impressive.
Yeah, he was the quarterback. 325-pound quarterback. Another flag comes in as Sharp makes the reception along the outside.
And they're going to get Clowney on a neutral zone.
Well, Clowney's had a quiet day. He's trying to get a little bit of an edge.
Offside. Defense number 90. Players in the neutral zone at the snap. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still first down.
He does not think so. Bill O'Brien's team signed Antonio Smith, who used to be with the Texans this past week. He practiced a little bit on Friday, and he will be an asset on the outside in the absence of J.J. Watt, but just not as much now as it will be later on. First down from the 38. Mariota looks and throws. Passes complete to Andre Johnson up to the 45. Quentin Demps in on the tackle.
Well, this is one guy that I think has to take over for J.J. Watt and get that pressure. A little bull rush right there. A little presence on Mariota. One-on-one with the back. Gets cut on a 3-step drop. Run action away. It's been a quiet day here for Clowney, but I think the Texans overall, defensively, playing a tough ball game.
Second down at 8. The handoff is given to Murray. Looking for the hole. Nothing was there to the right, so he goes to his left. Wilfork and Demps make the tackle. Gain of 4.
Good pickup inside by the Titans offensive line. Romeo Crennel blitzing Brian Cushing and Bernardrick McKinney, because they understand that right now the Titans want to get this running game going a little bit, and they want to make life very difficult for that front 5 trying to pick up the blitzing linebackers.
Well, there is Antonio Smith, who we just talked about. Romeo Crennel said he'd be on a pitch count today. He'd be on third down, and it is a 3rd down and 4. That's right in motion. And a flag comes in. I think we had movement on the left side of the offensive line.
Well, I think Antonio Smith flinched and had a sudden movement.
Ball start. Offense, number 67. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
You see, Quentin Spain is the left guard, number 67, and 94 is right over the ball. And you can see Smith makes just a small adjustment. I don't believe he went to the neutral zone and got Spain to jump off sides.
3rd down and 9. The play clock still has plenty of time left. Both Murray and Henry are in the game. Mariota, everybody's covered, slings it to the middle, leaping grab, and it's a first down for the Titans. Rashard Matthews, who had the 60-yard pass play earlier, was able to stay alive and make the catch.
What a big play, and Mariota showing good pocket awareness. You know, he has a chance right now to possibly throw downfield, but just at the last moment, he scans back across his body and spots Matthews coming open over the middle and drills him. Perfect pass.
Antonio Smith got into his shoulder. Matthews makes his second reception, 2 for 82 today. That was a 22-yard gain. on first down from the 34 of the Texans. Somebody jumped again. Mariota looking. Flags are everywhere and throws to Delaney Walker.
I think it's Clowney again.
Yeah, so it turned out to be a free play. Well, this has been somewhat of a choppy first 5 minutes.
Clowney having a hard time with the hard count.
There is Romeo Crennel, the defensive coordinator for the Texans.
There are fouls against both teams on the play. It's illegal formation, offense. An ineligible player was the end man on the line of scrimmage. Offsides, defense number 90, the player was in the neutral zone at the snap. Those fouls were offset. Replay first down.
Well, that is a frustrated Jadeveon Clowney on the sidelines now. It's almost as if they said, all right, let's take a timeout and just let yourself collect a little bit.
Well, they're saying ineligible player as the end man on the line in the formation, but I saw Supernaw and Delaney Walker. You see the two tight ends at the top there, and I'm not exactly sure what the officials saw on that play.
Well, it's still a first down, 1st and 10 from the 34. Mariota going for the end zone, and he overthrows his intended receiver, Kendall Wright, who had a little separation on Kareem Jackson. 2nd down at 10.
I think that's the one thing that this coaching staff for the Titans that has been really frustrating this season, because anytime they kind of get something going on offense, they have something negative that's kind of holding them back. And that, speaking of holding them back, Kareem Jackson, that is not a good sign for Romeo Crennel's defense.
They grab at his hamstring as he goes off the field. 2nd down and 10. The handoff goes to Murray running right. He has blockers and he gets to the 30. It's a gain of 4. Quentin Demps comes up to make the tackle.
There's a big tackle by Demps. That was a big hole right there, and a lot of safeties might miss that play, but I like how Demps aggressively shoots the gap and gets to DeMarco Murray's legs and chops him down.
Murray now 16 carries for 68 yards this afternoon. There's Demps, the 9th-year pro out of UTEP. This is a very loud part of the stadium that the Titans are venturing into. And with the roof closed, it's even louder.
They've been beating the Texans to the flat on 3rd down so far in this game.
So a timeout call by Mariota. We'll be back with his 3rd down play right after this.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest. Yes to low fares with nothing to hide. That's transparency. Domino's. Order online at Domino's.com. And by the new 2017 Acura MDX Precision Crafted Performance.
If you've ever been to Rice University, there's some beautiful settings, including those tree-lined walkways on their campus. 20-17, Houston on top. Opening drive for the Titans in the 2nd half. It's 3rd down and 6. Mariota just asked for a timeout. Off the timeout. Out of the shotgun. Throws to the middle of the field. It's a wobbler, but Andre Johnson has it, and he's got a first down toward the 10-yard line. Quentin Demps was in on the coverage.
Boy, what a big-time pass here from Mariota. Escapes to his left. And then Andre Johnson coming over from the other side, the right side, for the 2nd time today, is Mariota going to his left, attacks the middle of the field, and makes a big-time throw to his wide receiver.
That's a 20-yard pass play. Late substitution for the Texans. Johnson 3 catches, 33 yards. Out of the I formation, here's Murray. He has 2 scores already today. He'll be stopped after a gain of maybe 1. Andre Johnson said about coming back to Houston again, he didn't want to make a big deal out of it because last year he made a big deal out of it when he came back with the Indianapolis Colts. He said, this is a great organization in Houston. It's always great to play in front of these fans. All-time leading receiver in yards, touchdowns, receptions with the Houston Texans. It's his 2nd year away. Second and goal from the 9. He's in the backfield, Johnson is. Here's Murray again. Wilfork slows him and he pinballs him to the 8.
Trying to use some misdirection, but again, Vince Wilfork having a very active second half here, Tom. Drew the holding penalty earlier, and then that time he just sheds the left guard, Quinton Spain, and makes a tackle on Murray.
Well, he doesn't want to come out of the ball game. This is a 3rd down and goal from the 8. Wright and Walker just checked in for the Titans. Walker on the near side with Andre Johnson.
And Johnson's been one of his favorite targets in these situations.
Mariota looks to the end zone for Walker, who can't hang on. It was broken up by A.J. Boye. Now the Titans will settle for a field goal attempt.
Boy, that's just good coverage. Great position. A.J. Boye, inside leverage on Delanie Walker. Turns inside, plays the ball. You can see the left arm wrapped around Walker, but I don't believe that he hindered Walker going up for the pass. Excellent breakup in the end zone against a pretty tough guy to cover down there.
Well, Adam, this will be a 26-yard field goal attempt. You see Kern counting, making sure the numbers are right. Middle of the field for Suckup. Snap is good, the hold is good, and we are tied at 20. 7:04 to play in the 3rd quarter. Nice drive by Mariota to tie the ball game up. 13 plays, 59 yards, 7 minutes, 56 seconds off the clock to begin the 3rd quarter. And the Andre Johnson fans from here in Houston, they might have cheered a little bit. He had a big pass reception to help set up that field goal. He's had himself a nice day. 3 catches, 33 yards. Nice safety valve for Mariota. Urban back deep to receive the kickoff. It's going to go over his head and out of the end zone. Week 4 continues later on today on Fox. Then tonight with Sunday Night Football on NBC. And tune in tomorrow for Monday Night Football on ESPN. The Giants visit the new home of the Vikings. All right, so here's Brock Osweiler. He's had a sit for the halftime break and for the first 7 minutes and 54 seconds of this 3rd quarter. Huge comparison difference, Adam, between the 1st quarter and the 2nd quarter.
Yeah, red hot start in the 1st quarter. To me, the big difference is as the game went on, Tennessee started to get more pressure and started to affect him in the pocket.
Well, he hands it off to Lamar Miller to start it off, and he has a burst across the 30 to the 31. Gain of 6. Rashad Johnson makes the tackle.
You know, we didn't see a lot of Lamar Miller in that first half. He had a couple good runs early, and then I think the offense, as it started to get out of sync a little bit, they started to go more in the passing game featuring the tight ends. But you have to believe that Lamar Miller should be a bigger part of this offense as the second half unfolds.
Considering all the touches that he averages per game, averages 28 touches per game. That's Jeff Allen, the 5th-year pro out of Illinois. They already are without Dwayne Brown, their starting left tackle, who's made 120 starts in his career. Chris Clark has been filling in for him. Kendall Lamb has been in on a lot of pass plays as an extra lineman. But it looks like the backup center, Tony Bergstrom, is going to come in and play for Jeff Allen, who they're looking at the 28-yard line.
It was kind of hard to see exactly what happened. Wesley Woodyard, he came pulling around the left side and had a collision with Wesley Woodyard, and it looked like Woodyard just kind of got his shoulder pad under his face mask. See Allen as he comes around on number 59 right there. He just takes a little shoulder right there under the chin. And whatever it is, it hurt.
Boy, it stung him. Like right there, he freezes and goes down after Miller goes past him. Well, part of this is also the concussion protocol that they will take a peek at, not only checking out his neck, but also checking out the whiplash. So they'll go through that. So he'll check out Bergstrom, number 68. Will check in over from the Oakland Raiders organization. Second down and 4. It's a good sign. Fedorowicz is back in. He was injured in the first half. Off the play fake, Osweiler dumps it off to his fullback, Jay Prosch, who's got the first down. And a flag comes in late after Prosch went down to the ground. We've had an assortment of flags already thrown in this ball game.
Original foul in the play for a defensive personal foul. The play stands as called. Yardage is enough for a first down.
Cleve Blakeman, the former backup quarterback at the University of Nebraska. They'll mark the football at the 37-yard line. With under 6.5 to play here in the third quarter. Boy, at this pace, both teams are going to touch the football one time in the third quarter. There's Miller, who's wrapped up from behind by Avery Williamson. With NFL Game Pass, watch the games you missed with condensed games in 45 minutes or the full broadcast versions. Start a free trial today at NFL.com/Game Pass. That is one of our favorite apps that we get a chance to look at each week preparing for the next game. Second down and 6. Osweiler, quick toss, Fuller. Only his second reception since the first quarter. He is thrown to the ground. Bayard, he wanted to throw a message at him right there.
I think that's kind of what they like about Bayard, the rookie safety out of Middle Tennessee, and he's going to get a lot more playing time today because Denoris Searcy has an ankle injury, but just a nasty safety who's got great football instincts. And talking to some of the personnel people around here, football is extremely important to him, and he's come in here with a ton of maturity.
Interesting that Dick LeBeau said we saw him a lot in college because he's at Middle Tennessee State. Here's the handoff to Miller. Miller getting to the outside, and Miller has a first down out of bounds. Let's go to New York for an update with JV and Bart. Guys?
Tom, Baltimore trying to stay perfect.
On a 4th and goal, Joe Flacco calls his own number for the 1-yard run. The 2-point conversion was intercepted by Sean Smith. Oakland leads 14-12.
2:41 left in the third. Tom McCarthy, Adam Archuleta.
All right, James, Bart, we appreciate that. Joe Flacco and his wife welcomed in their 4th child this past week. It's been a hectic week for him. The handoff to Miller, and he is stopped behind the line of scrimmage. Rashad Johnson came slicing through to make that tackle.
Big time play coming off the edge. You don't see a guy usually coming from one side of the field and running down a running back going to the other side of the field in the backfield, but terrific play from the former Arizona Cardinal.
Alfred Blue checks in for the Texans. Rashad Johnson, by the way, went off with an apparent injury after that tackle. Miller now 12 carries, 54 yards. Osweiler from the shotgun on second down to the far side of the field, and it's intercepted. Parrish Cox goes up and comes down with the INT on the pass intended for Hopkins. Well, there's no doubt he's been maligned. People have talked about his coverage ability over the last couple of weeks. He was one-on-one with Hopkins, and he won the battle.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Verizon. Welcome to Verizon LTE Advanced, the next-gen network. And by Sonic. This is how you Sonic.
Some of the sights from Johnson Space Center. That was the Saturn V moon rocket. First down after the turnover. Mariota off the play fake. He has plenty of time. Here comes Jadeveon Clowney, and he takes him down at the 15. Jadeveon Clowney's been trying to get in the backfield all day, and he finally does.
And he beats a double team to do it. Right here, beats the double team of the center and the left guard trying to block back on him. Inside, and just effort, sheds the guard, and then chases down Mariota. Mariota has done a good job here, especially in that last drive of extending the play, and looking downfield, but has to have a faster internal clock.
Both Henry and Murray in the backfield, and that's Murray in motion. The handoff goes to Henry, and he is bounced by Wilfork right away. A gain of maybe 1 on the play. It'll be 3rd down and long.
Another big play by Wilfork in the middle. You know, usually he's just kind of a guy that sits in there and says, you're not going to move me, and I'm going to make plays. But today, look at the separation. Let's bench press this guard and get off and make the play. That is a heck of a game from number 75 so far.
Well, this is a 3rd down for the Titans today. They're 6 of 10. Last week, 2 of 12 against Oakland. This was a point of emphasis this week, as it is every week for a football team. Low snap, flags come in. I think we had movement on the offensive line for the Titans.
False start. Offense, number 64. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
Hey, it does get loud here at NRG Stadium, particularly with the roof closed. I mean, it really does pick up.
And they're just they're not an offense right now that is able to overcome penalties and negative plays. There's some offenses in the National Football League that can do a better job than others, but they're just not built for that. So now sitting here, you know, inside your 15-yard line, 3rd and long, the worst thing you can do is make a big mistake and turn the ball over to the Texans defense.
Kind of what Mariota told us in our meetings yesterday, that he has to be smarter in these spots. So he dumps it off underneath to Delaney Walker. And Walker's tackled by Clowney up to the 22. He got to the original line of scrimmage.
Well, 2 big plays, and we've talked about this defensive line. Who's going to step up with no J.J. Watt in the lineup? And you saw it happen here on this drive. Clowney on the first play, getting pressure, getting the sack, and then Wilfork inside doing what he does in the middle for a negative run.
By the way, the Texans have put Will Fuller back along with Irvin. We saw that at practice on Friday, that they pushed him back, and it will be Fuller who will start this at the 33-yard line. He can fly if he gets into the open field, and he's into the open field! Inside the 30, he's gonna go! "67-yard punt returns." I don't even know if he broke a sweat because nobody came close to him.
There was nobody downfield. There was no gunner in his way. There was no coverage. Look, the closest Titan is 10 yards away from him before he even gets the ball. And on punt team, you just can't give a returner that much space. Somebody has to be down there getting into his face. And a guy like that, we talked about his speed. You never give him a straight shot down the sideline.
So the Texans retake the lead. The point after is good. It's 27-20. Will Fuller, the rookie out of Notre Dame, showing his legs. Saturday, CBS is your home for the best game for the best conference when Joshua Dobbs and the Tennessee Volunteers take on Trevor Knight and the Aggies of Texas A&M in a battle of unbeatens. It all begins with college football today. What a finish yesterday for Tennessee. Last second, Dobbs to Jennings to win it. And what a punt return for Will Fuller the fifth.
You got to take care of the gunners. And you can see the gunners are nowhere near Fuller as he fields this ball. He takes the ball. Nobody is in his way. You got unbelievable blocking inside. Akeem Dent, the middle linebacker, gets a great block to seal it off. Number 50 right there. And then Will Fuller, I think he enjoys the art of acceleration, Tom.
I would agree with that one. Larry Izzo, the special teams coach, has to feel pretty good about that. Here's Mariani. He'll return this one, sprinting across the 20 and up to the 23-yard line with under a minute to play in the third quarter. Again, it's only a touchdown lead, though, for the Texans, even though that electrified this sellout crowd.
Well, I think Larry Izzo, the special teams, first-year special teams coordinator here in Houston, has to be extremely pleased because last week special teams a major problem for the Houston Texans.
You don't think he didn't hear it this week either?
So right now, I think he feels a sense of pride that his unit came out and responded that way.
Now, Bill O'Brien, when talking about the special teams, he said, listen, it's about everything else. We need to be better on every facet, including special teams. Supernaw in motion. DeMarco Murray in the backfield. He'll take the handoff, and Cushing is there to meet him in his hip pocket. He gained a couple. It'll be second down.
Yeah, we really haven't had a chance to talk about Cushing that much, but boy, they are extremely excited that he found his way back into the lineup this week. And when you talk to everybody on this team and Whitney Merciless, they say he is absolutely the heart and soul, the energy of our defense. And it's nice to see him make a play right there in the backfield.
3 years of 100 tackles or more during his career in the National Football League. Clock winding down here in the third quarter. Murray again. Wilfork slowed him, but Murray keeps the pile going up to the 30. McKinney made the tackle. That'll be the final play of the third quarter. 27-20. Texans will return to Houston. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
This is the end of the third quarter.
Devin still in the Texans mascot Toro visiting Texas Children's Hospital right here in Houston to sign autographs and bring smiles. And man, did he bring smiles to some young patients who are battling cancer. Still wrapped up his visit by reading his children's book, I Am Leah Strong, which recounts his own daughter's fight with pediatric cancer. And that all comes on the heels of us supporting Childhood Cancer Awareness Month in the month of September with the folks at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital in Memphis, Tennessee. On third down, here's Mariota trying to convert that first down. He can run. Simon's on him. He breaks away, and he dives forward. I think he may have the first down. He's lucky he didn't get whiplash on that as we begin the fourth quarter.
A really good job at the top by John Simon, because they had Delaney Walker here looking for the slant. And Simon, on the snap, gets right back in the throwing lane, and then Mariota has to come off his spot. Now, he does bobble the snap, but that's a heads-up play, getting underneath by Simon and taking away the primary receiver.
All right, Adam, it looks like they have him marked short of the first down. I thought maybe the nose of the football got to the first down marker, and Mike Mularkey throws the challenge flag. Honestly, Mariota was lucky he didn't get hurt on this play.
Tennessee is challenging the ruling on the field of the spot.
Boy, that's awfully close. We'll get the result of the challenge when we return to Houston.
Big question on whether Mariota got the first down or not, and you're going to see his knee hits the ground before he goes for that second lunge. And I think based on that
After
angle,
review of the play, the ruling on the field stands as called to bring up fourth down. Tennessee will be charged his first timeout.
Yeah, the folks in New York have the same angles that we present, and they can blow it up and show you just what we showed you. And it did look like his knee was down short of the first down marker.
and then if you watch another angle,
Second timeout.
the ball was in his right hand, and it was tucked close to his body, so he didn't get a chance to extend it out.
Well, that is the second timeout now charged to the Titans. Because don't forget, they had that first timeout earlier in this half. Now the Titans need to cover up on punt coverage. It's Irvin who's back. Fuller, who scored the touchdown on the punt his last time, is off the field. And Irvin will come up and field this one at the 23. And boy, they did tighten up punt coverage.
That's how you play Gunner, Tom.
Sure is. Valentino Blake with that special teams tackle. DeAndre Hopkins has been as quiet as we've ever seen in this ball game.
Well, here's the last interception. This is on Osweiler. Look at the separation here, but look at how much sideline Hopkins has to work with. On a corner with inside leverage, this has to be outside for Hopkins to lean away from Cox. And that's easy for Cox to go up and get the interception. That's a poor throw by Osweiler. It needs to be much closer to the sideline so Hopkins can use that separation.
This play is blown dead. And by the way, Hopkins has never gone through a game in his young career without a reception.
False start. Offense number 79. It's 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
DeAndre Hopkins is such a special player. 3 targets, no receptions, never been held without a reception in his career. Well, they wanted to get Fuller to compliment him and maybe get guys off him. Fuller's had a good day. 67-yard punt return for a touchdown, 6 catches for 80 yards as a receiver. This is only the 8th play of this half for the Texans. On first down and long, they dump it off and they give it to Strong, who gets up to the 26th. Wesley Woodyard makes the tackle for the Titans. Well, the Texans want to do what the Titans did at opening drive of that second half. They want to kill some clock here, right? Up 7?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's part of it, but you got to take what the defense gives you, and if they're going to give Jalen Strong that much of a cushion, then it's an easy throw inside for Osweiler.
Clock winds, 2nd down and 7. Osweiler dumps it off to Strong, who hangs on. He was bobbling it as he made the reception. Williamson, the inside linebacker, was in on coverage. Not a short gain, so it'll be 3rd down. Boy, one thing about Osweiler, and I know you were a volunteer assistant at Arizona State when he played there, he got a lot on his throws. I mean, it's not a soft pass.
He's got a big arm. He's got great confidence, and you know, he's an aggressive quarterback. You see, he is not afraid to throw that ball into extremely tight windows. Now, you know, in a few of those throws, it's come back to hurt him and this team, but he certainly came in here with a ton of confidence, and somehow they have to get this thing going here in the 4th quarter.
On 3rd down, Osweiler to his left. That's a tough throw, and it's incomplete. Cox was covering Hopkins. It'll be 4th down.
Great position, 2-man, man underneath, safety's deep, inside leverage. Cox knows he has position, turns inside, and perfectly times that jump. And it's not very often you're going to do a Houston Texans game, and 3 times the defensive back today has won over DeAndre Hopkins. This is a good performance by the secondary.
Mariani inside the 25, and he's up to the 28-yard line. That's where the Titans will begin. Down by 7.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Outback Steakhouse, Bloomin' Great, Auto Trader. Find your perfect new, used, or certified car on Auto Trader. And by New York Life. With the right guidance, everyone can be good at life.
Well, the first game that the Houston Texans have played without J.J. Watt in his great career. They're up by 7. They've had some guys step up, including Jadeveon Clowney in this half. The handoff goes to Murray, and Murray bursts through an open seam up to the 39. Gain of 6.
Thought Clowney with great penetration right there, line up on the left side, and I think it's kind of interesting. You've seen Clowney a lot line up at defensive tackle. And I know that kind of fits what the scheme is here in Houston, but I've always been of the belief that he has to be on the edge and he has to work on tackles outside. But that time doing a really good job inside.
Well, it's a 5-man front defensively at this moment. The handoff to Murray, and Murray runs right into Mercilus and Clowney.
And Whitney Mercilus has had a big day today, especially involved in the run game. Number 59 against number 89. And watch how he just, oh my goodness, puts his helmet in his chest, knocks him back into the backfield, and there is absolutely nowhere for DeMarco Murray to run.
All right, so 3rd down and 8 now for Mariota, down by 7. 2 receivers to the top, stacked, 2 receivers to the bottom. Murray's in the backfield. And Mariota going to the far side of the field for Kendall Wright, who trips, and here comes the flag. That was Charles James in on the coverage.
This is going to be interesting because their lower bodies hit. And the question is that I want to see was Charles James, was his head turned to the quarterback?
Defense, number 31. Ball in place on the spot of foul. First down, Tennessee.
See James right there in the back. He puts his hands on Wright.
They definitely got their feet tangled up, and maybe it was the arm on the arm.
Yeah, they got their feet tangled. I think in slow motion you can see his right arm get in there, but I think if you played that, at real speed, I don't think that was enough to say pass interference.
Well, it's a gain of 24 on the penalty. It's a first down from the 41. That's Walker in motion. Mariota under pressure throws to the near sideline, incomplete. Well, let's take a look at that penalty in real speed.
Well, you know there's always going to be a little bit of hand fighting. Number 31.
Offense, number 77.
And when you look at it at real speed, you could just see that their lower bodies collided, and there's nothing in his upper body or his arms that restricted Wright from going up for the football. That was awfully close to call pass interference. I thought it was great coverage.
All right, well, now we've got holding on Taylor Lewan, so that moves the football back to the 49 of Tennessee. I think both these teams are going to look at it and be disappointed with the number of penalties that have been assessed here this afternoon. First and 20 for Mariota. Hand off to Murray. And Murray is stacked up by Jonathan Joseph. McKinney was there as well.
Boy, that is a great, you have no idea how hard this tackle is for Jonathan Joseph, a cornerback, playing outside contain on a DeMarco Murray cutback. And if there's one place this defense has gotten hurt on, has been missed tackles in the secondary. But that is very well played by the veteran cornerback.
10.5 to play, second and 18 for Mariota from the 49 of Houston. Mariota quickly to the near side, pass is complete and then dropped out of bounds. They're going to call that incomplete. It was Sharp, the rookie. He had it but never got his feet down, and the ball tucked to become a runner. Boye in on the coverage.
An aggressive break on the ball by A.J. Boye. Second good play in the game in coverage. And that's just perfect hat placement right there on the ball, gets it out of there. You see this secondary playing some aggressive football out there. Last two drives for Houston, they've started to turn it up a notch.
Now you got third and 18. Tennessee has missed on its last two third down opportunities. Mariota has time. He wobbles the pass. It's deflected, incomplete. He had time, but time wound down. As he was getting ready to fire, there was pressure coming. Whitney Merciless was in the backfield.
What a good job getting depth. And Mariota throws a dangerous pass. And I tell you what, Andre Howe absolutely read the eyes of Mariota, elevates, almost comes down on the interception, but 3 plays in a row by this secondary.
And that punt is blocked, but the play has been blown dead. The play has been blown dead, even though the Texans' John Simon has taken it into the end zone. Boy, Kern is really fortunate. If he is indeed fortunate. I think he got hurt on that play. He was smothered on that block. Nobody heard the whistle.
Prior to the snap, the play was shut down, assuming that there was 12 men on defense. However, the 12th man did get off, so there is no foul. But replay, fourth down.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
That is huge.
That Corey Moore, now I'm not sure, we don't see on this view where the alleged 12th man is, but that is a major gaffe by the officiating crew. Boy, block, punt.
Well, and Kern gets this one off. Ingram calls for the fair catch and grabs it at the 8. It would have been 7 for the Texans, but the play blown dead. Kern came up limping, and now Osweiler's backed up.
So here we go in the last play in question. I think that's Andre Howe, and he was the 12th man that the officiating crew thought they saw. You see him run off the field. He clearly gets off the field.
Yeah, and Irvin's like, why is the play blown dead? I just counted.
Now the only question is, was the punt blocked because Tennessee's punt team stopped blocking and they heard the whistle?
Well, they re-punt, and it's first down from the 9. And Lamar Miller will take the handoff and go right up the middle, and he gets up to the 15. It's a gain of 6. Jarrell Casey makes the tackle. Kendall Lamb just told the official, the referee, that he is an eligible receiver. An extra lineman out on the field. Miller 13 carries, 60 yards. 9:40 and counting to play. Again Miller, and he's tripped up. But he gets forward for 2. Rashad Johnson makes the tackle.
You know, coming into this game, they said that they wanted to move DeAndre Hopkins around to try and get him more involved in the offense, because let's face it, they want to get the ball into his hands. But so far in this game, Parrish Cox and Jason McCourty, when they've been attacked, they've been the winner of that battle. And I think some of the balls that have been thrown to Hopkins, I think you can question.
Yeah, right now it's Cox that's on him on the near side, down below. On third down, the throw is complete to Hopkins, his first catch of the day, and he's up to the 21-yard line. He's looking at the football thinking, so that's what it feels like. There's his mom in the middle with the glasses on. His entire family. Sabrina Greenlee.
63's eligible.
1 catch, 4 yards. Now he's covered by McCourty.
Hey, Diamond, 54! 180! What's that?
Handoff goes to Miller. Miller getting to the edge. And he drags a defender across the first down marker. Damian Stafford makes the tackle. The officials are telling Miller to get back into the huddle. No taunting. Gain of 14 for Lamar Miller.
How about this block? I believe that's number 98, Brian Arakpo, on the edge, getting blocked by a wide receiver. That's the rookie, Will Fuller, and that's what allows the speed of Lamar Miller to get on the outside. But that is a big-time block on a legitimate run defender.
7:40 to play here in the fourth quarter. Again, Miller on first down. And nothing doing there. Wesley Woodyard makes the tackle. Coming up on the Subway postgame show, join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cower for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Subway postgame show.
How about Will Fuller today, Tom?
What a day.
He has had a day. You know, usually you don't see rookies, you know, kind of figure things out this early in their career.
At a Roman Catholic high school in Philadelphia, the same high school that produced Marvin Harrison, the great receiver from the Colts. Alfred Blue in the backfield off the play fake. Osweiler steps up, the ball is slotted away, and it's incomplete. Jarrell Casey was the one who got a hand on it. Derek Morgan was the one who was in the backfield.
It was the initial pressure by Morgan coming off of the left side right here, working on Derek Newton. And they're trying to get the play action pass going, but Morgan just gets by there, and that makes Osweiler have to dip inside, alter his progression, and then Casey is right there to replace, put the big hand up.
Texans are 4 of 9 on third down opportunities. Blue stays in the ball game, and he is next to Osweiler in the backfield. Third down, Osweiler's going to run. He's going to bring that big 6'8" frame across the first down marker. Next time he might be better suited to go feet first. But he got the first down. They'll mark him at the 49.
Two-man defense. Again, a lot of what New England did last week. Man underneath. All the linebackers are in coverage. The safeties are back deep. And Osweiler knows that there's nobody back there to account for me. And he's a big guy, 6'7". But he has that ability, if you allow him to run for the first down.
Attack 14 yards onto Osweiler's line here this afternoon on the ground. And it continues to allow them to chew the clock. Third straight third down conversion. Here is Lamar Miller. And Miller down to the 48 of Tennessee. Thursday, your weekend starts here when the Cardinals tackle the Niners. It's Thursday Night Football on CBS, NFL Network, and Twitter.
You're starting to wind down here. We got about 5-6 minutes left here in the fourth quarter. Tennessee has to find a way to get off the field on third down.
Yeah, they only have one timeout left, which obviously makes life a little bit more difficult if the clock continues to run down. 2nd and 7. Here's Fuller. He'll take the jet sweep. And he runs to his right. Maybe gets one to the 48. Sean Spence makes the tackle, and he needed to make that tackle.
He knew it when you see this play. He knew. He took off, I think, before even the snap of the ball. Brock Osweiler. Will Fuller is in motion. And before the snap, Spence said, I know exactly what's happening on this play, and I better get a move on. Here's Spence right here. Look, he takes off before the snap of the ball. Gets up inside, makes a great play.
That's a great read. So 3rd down at 7. Alfred Blue into the ball game instead of Miller. Here comes the blitz by the Titans. Quick toss to the outside. It's complete to Strong. And he is right at the first down marker. It was kicked away, but he might be a half-inch or a half-yard shy of that first down.
It was a big-time throw by Osweiler.
What are you going to do here if you're 4th and a half a yard?
I think they're going to go for it.
Yeah, Bill O'Brien said that they were going to be aggressive. Again, he's calling the plays today for the first time this year. George Godsey, the offense coordinator, normally calls them.
Yeah, you know what? I like this call. I think that, he's making it clear that he wants to be aggressive. And his defense is playing pretty well here in the second half.
Play clock is down to 2. They give it to Prosch. He is stopped. I don't think he got it. He was nailed behind the line of scrimmage. Angelo Blackson, the second-year pro from Auburn, was there. And Tennessee will take over on downs with 4:34 to play here in the fourth quarter. That is a big-time defensive stop by Mike Mularkey's team.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And by Subway Restaurants.
Dick LeBeau's defense came up big on 4th down. After on 3rd down, the Texans fell just shy of the first down marker. Here's Mariota down by 7. DeMarco Murray. And Murray cuts back and has room inside Texans territory. It's a gain of 10. All right, let's take a look at the stop by the Titans.
Big time play. Angelo Blackson right here, the nose guard, and David Bass. Blackson stacks it up and gets penetration into the backfield. And then David Bass is able to beat the block of Kendall Lamb, the extra offensive lineman, get across his face, and then make the stick for no gain. I know they like to give the ball to Prosch at times in key situations, but I thought Lamar Miller was doing some good things on the ground, and I was surprised that they didn't give him the shot, or Alfred Blue, which is their pounder, their power back, the opportunity to get that first down.
So that's Jonathan Joseph heading out. Joseph and Kareem Jackson are both out of this game for the Texans. So Boye and Kevin Johnson are being leaned on a little bit more. There's Kareem Jackson out with a hamstring injury. There is Kevin Johnson. First down from the 48. The Titans have played some close games so far this year, and since Mariota's really taken over the helm. On first down. Off the play fake. Dancing in the pocket, middle of the field, overthrows Delanie Walker. All right, so the close games. Week 2 at Detroit. Mariota's touchdown pass to Andre Johnson with a minute left gave Tennessee a 1-point victory. Now, last week, Mariota's 4th down pass to the end zone fell incomplete in a 7-point loss to the Raiders. And don't forget, they had the penalty on Andre Johnson on that drive and the penalty on Taylor Lewan on that drive that hampered them from getting the victory, or at least pushing the game into overtime.
You could say that he has been at his best this season in this situation in their final drive of the game.
Henry movement into the backfield. And this play has been blown dead. Maybe a false start.
False start. Offense, number 78. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Jack Conklin, who was hurt earlier, back in. The rookie out of Michigan State.
Boy, that's a big one. It just takes a little bit, Tom. But how it seems that every time the Titans are in this situation, on a final drive, they have to overcome
Absolutely.
silly mistakes. It's got to be extremely frustrating for Mike Mularkey.
10 penalties, 93 yards. Mariota, middle of the field, passes complete to Sharp, the rookie. Second catch of the day for Sharp. We've had 17 combined penalties here this afternoon. That's Sharp, the rookie out of UMass. You know, Victor Cruz opened the eyes of all NFL scouts about UMass football. Their head coach, Mark Whipple, offensive-minded guy, and that helped Sharp get drafted. It's third down.
Delaney Walker.
Wright's in motion. Mariota, pass is complete to Wright. Boye was in on the coverage. And we talked during the open how important those weapons of Delaney Walker and Kendall Wright are for Mariota.
This is really why Kendall Wright is in the game and why he's so dangerous, because of these types of routes that he brings. That ability to get out of his break and get that separation is something that this offense has desperately missed, and we haven't heard his name a lot so far in this game, but that was a major play on third down.
Both guys have been out with hamstring injuries, back today, and here is DeMarco Murray. Quentin Demps makes the tackle. Murray is zeroing in on another 100-yard day for the Titans. 25 carries, 95 yards. It's a big weapon for Mike Mularkey to have. He's also scored 2 touchdowns this afternoon.
I think they're in great shape right
here. They really are. Now, they only have 1 timeout left, but they have the 2-minute warning. They got to get this play off before the 2-minute warning.
That time means nothing right now. They just have to find a way to score. Plenty of time if you execute to get a touchdown.
Off the play fake, Mariota looking downfield, and his pass is swatted away. Andre Howe went diving in front of Anthony Fasano, and we have reached the 2-minute warning. 1:56 to play. The game is in the balance. Can the Titans tie it up? We'll see when we come back. Third down and 6 for Marcus Mariota and the Tennessee Titans, down by 7. 1:56 to play. They need to get to the 22. Mariota looks left, throws left, incomplete. Jonathan Joseph, who just checked back into the ball game, breaks up the pass play. Andre Johnson, the intended receiver.
Defensive backs inside leverage. Joseph gets there, plays it perfectly. And you've seen a lot of plays on the ball today from this secondary contesting the throw.
All right, so now 4th and 6. What are you thinking?
You got to watch DeMarco Murray.
In the backfield. Quick toss, tipped out of the hands of Andre Johnson, incomplete. A.J. Boye in on the coverage, and the Texans will take over.
This is just a terrific play. They're trying to run a sort of a pick and get Johnson underneath. And Boye knows exactly what's coming, attacks the ball. Well done by this secondary, especially here in the 4th quarter and in the second half. They've made big tackles and they've made great plays on the ball today.
Well, we talked about J.J. Watt being out today. Who would step up? There's obviously been pressure, but the secondary really has played well today for the Texans. Lamar Hill takes the handoff. Tennessee has 1 timeout left.
Tennessee takes its third and final timeout.
Next Sunday, the NFL on CBS is living large with doubleheader games. First, the Jets take on the Steelers while the Texans tangle with the Vikings. Then, Bengals battle the Cowboys. We'll be in Oakland for San Diego and the Raiders. Check local listings beginning with JB, Boomer, Tony, Coach, and Bart on the NFL Today. And don't forget, next week, the Patriots will have Tom Brady back. After his 4-game suspension, there's Cushing, who was back today. Boye, who's had great hands today defensively.
The secondary's played well, and they've tackled well. Joseph, you've seen a bunch of plays by Boye and Howe making tackles in the line of scrimmage. This has been a real solid performance from that secondary for the Texans.
No timeouts left for the Titans. Miller again, this time to the right side, gets up to the 32. Coming up on the Subway postgame show, join JB, Tony, Bart, Boomer, and Coach Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights. That's all coming up on the Subway postgame show. Well, it's third down. Texans need to get that first down because time is on their side right now.
Yeah, I think they're going to run the football because you have to believe that as well as your defense, even if you punt and you don't pick up the 7 yards, as well as your defense has been playing, you've got to expect that they can stop Tennessee from going down the field with no timeouts.
Lamar Miller will take the handoff, and that's his 20th run of the day, and he's up to the 34. Avery Williamson makes the tackle, and now the Texans will indeed punt the ball away, but the Titans have no timeouts left. So Mariani, who has 3 career touchdowns, the former Pro Bowler in his rookie year with the Titans. You think the Texans are going to let time wind down, maybe use one of their timeouts?
Absolutely. They're going to run off 24 more seconds. And you might think about punting this ball out of bounds if Kern is able to do that.
So Bill O'Brien will call the timeout. There's Larry Izzo, the special teams coach. He's calling over Shane Lechler and the rest of the punt crew for the Texans.
Excuse me, I said Brett Kern. He's talking about the Titans punter. Excuse me.
Titans do not want to see their punter again, Adam.
Shane, I'm sitting here thinking, wait a minute. I don't think that sounds right.
So 14 seconds left for Mariota and the Titans at this point. Depending on what this punt direction is, will dictate how much time he's going to have left to work with. And if you're Mariani, if it comes to you, you got to get out of bounds to stop the clock at some point.
Tough spot.
Lechler lets it fly, and Mariani will take it inside the 10, and now he'll go to the sidelines and get out of bounds at the 25-yard line with 4 seconds left. Well, yesterday on CBS, we saw Tennessee and Georgia go back and forth. Tennessee with a last-second Hail Mary. Does Mariota and the rest of the Titans have some kind of Hail Mary play in their back pocket?
Boy, that's going to be an impressive throw.
I think this is going to be a little shake and bake after a throw.
You might need to cue up the Music City Miracle.
Well, it's a good point. Something. Where is Frank Wycheck when you need him?
Where's Kevin Dyson at?
But every team has a play for an end of the game like this, correct?
They do, but I think you kind of know what the result's going to be anyways.
4 seconds left. Mariota out of the shotgun. Everybody playing back for the Texans. They dump it off to Murray. He fakes a couple of handoffs, now throws it forward. There come the flags. That's going to be an illegal forward pass. Andre Johnson's going to run around, and he fumbles the football, and it's going to be picked up by the Texans. Kevin Johnson will pick it up, and Houston will get out of town with a 27-20 victory over the Tennessee Titans. Mariota today, 12 of 28, 192 yards. Mike Mularkey's team down early, 14-0, 17-3. Came back and made it a ball game. And even though Hopkins didn't get involved that much into the passing game for Brock Osweiler, Osweiler was still able to help his team to the 7-point win. Both these teams came in with the thought of needing a victory, and it's the Texans who get away with it. The final score, it's the Texans 27, the Titans 20. This was a third down play to Andre Johnson. Jonathan Joseph with a fantastic play. And now on fourth down, Andre Johnson stumbled somewhat, but Boye is able to clean it up. For Adam Archuleta, this is Tom McCarthy saying so long from Houston. Coming up next, it's the Subway postgame show. We'll take you to New York for all the latest scores and highlights after this, plus bonus coverage of Oakland and Baltimore. So long, everybody, from Houston.